And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
Here's Jalen versus everybody.
What up, Dal?
I'm David Dallin.
And on the cool check-in. Center stage on the mic.
And we putting it on wax. It's the new style.
We're Jalen and Jacoby. What do we do?
We get the people what they want.
In the Pacific Northwest last night, LeBron James made his debut in a Laker uniform, and it felt like a moment. It felt like a moment, especially during a sequence like this. LeBron gets the steal and the dunk. Those are his first points as a Laker. There was one sequence as well when LeBron got a dunk, and then here we go. We got Dame's got the ball. What's Dame going to do with the ball? He goes through. He dunks. And then again, this not even edited. LeBron James comes back down the floor for his second dunk. LeBron dunk, Dame dunk, LeBron dunk. It was such a fun game. At the end, the Blazers ended up pulling away. Jalen Rose, we are only one game into the season, but there's still a lot to talk about regarding the Lakers. What was your takeaway for this Lakers team?
I have a few takeaways. They are going to be vastly improved. Obviously led by LeBron James, who's going to play at an MVP level. You saw the points, you saw the rebounds, you saw the assists. He's going to continue to lead and guide young players, in particular Kuzma and Ingram. But I appreciate the way Hart played, knocking down shots, scoring 20 points. But my main issue with the Lakers, a team that I see hovering around 45 to 50 wins, has the ability clearly to make the playoffs, possibly advance past the first round. This can't be the complete roster. Here's why.
No.
They have no size and bulk up front other than JaVale McGee, who isn't going to play over 24 minutes on average. So based on that, you saw Dame Lillard drive the lane and dunk the basketball. There's going to be a lot of teams doing that if they don't find a way to shore that up. Another thing, the Lakers got to improve as a three-point shooting collective. The players that they put out on the floor, Rajon Rondo is a terrific distributor, played a great floor game, had a double-double. We know he's a seasoned vet, not a knockdown shooter. And so if you're going to continue to create space for LeBron James to operate, they got to get more shooting consistently. The other thing that really stood out like a sore thumb.
Talk to me. I know what you're going to say.
Lonzo Ball doesn't fit with this team.
No, he doesn't.
Here's a guy that was taken number 2 overall. This is going to be the first team that he's ever played on that he doesn't lead in assists. He's used to being a primary ball handler. He has the ability to play off the ball, but that's not necessarily a strength. He's an improved shooter. That's not necessarily a strength. Alongside LeBron James, Hart, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Rajon Rondo are distinctly going to get as many, if not more, minutes than Lonzo Ball, a guy that they took number 2 overall in the draft just last year.
Lonzo is working himself back from an injury, so we'll reserve a little bit of judgment. But it was pretty apparent last night that Rondo was much better fit for that point guard spot, that distributor, that sort of like floor general role than Lonzo is. And when you look at it, you remember we were wondering, Jalen Rose, we were wondering, where's LeVar Ball? How come LeVar Ball hasn't been so vocal this year? LeBron James came to the team, and all of a sudden LeVar Ball gets quiet? You mean the media attention on the Lakers quadruples, and all of a sudden LeVar Ball gets quiet? And Jalen, I think that you might have touched on something that perhaps could have silenced LeVar Ball. Lonzo might not be a great fit for this Lakers, and perhaps LeVar Ball knows that, and perhaps he has scaled back his antics because he knows that if he turns up his antics, they might end up trading LeVar Ball. Lonzo Ball, do you think there's a possibility? Look, we're one game into the season. We're totally overreacting, but I'm in the media. This is what I'm going to do. Do you think there's a possibility that he is one of the players that will likely not finish the season because we both feel that this team that they're currently putting on the floor is not the team that the Lakers will finish with? Do you think Lonzo Ball finishes this season in a Laker uniform?
So the Lakers need size and they need shooting. The only way that's going to happen is to parlay some of your current assets. You're not going to move Rondo. You're not going to move Lance or Beasley or McGee each of those veteran players are on one-year deals.
Yep.
You got to use one of your young pieces in order to shore up where you're weak. And again, I have been somebody, as you know, that continues to defend the fact that Lonzo Ball had a terrific rookie season.
I love Lonzo's game.
He's never going to live up to the hype
I absolutely
that
love
was
Lonzo's
set
game.
by LeVar or Magic Johnson when they picked him and they said, I would love to see your number hanging in the rafters. If Lonzo Ball's number's hanging in the rafters, it won't be at the Staples Center. It'll be because he is productive eventually for another team.
Interesting. We'll continue to keep an eye on that. But there was some chemistry issues, and they're working out the roster and the rotations with the Lakers. Let's listen to LeBron James after the game talk about that.
Not as fast as you guys think it's going to happen. It's not. I always kind of compare it, to like instant oatmeal. It's not that fast. It takes a while for the chemistry to get to where you can close your eyes and know exactly where your guys are.
Okay, a couple things I need to talk about with that. Number one, was he wearing a do-rag with the cape out? Under the hat? Was that happening? Like that's more important than what he says. Was happening, Jalen?
That was happening.
Okay, I want to make sure I didn't hallucinate that.
LeBron continues to rock a do-rag. I'm really impressed by the fact that he's trying to make sure he gets waves on the side and in the back.
You don't think the waves
because it won't be consistent on the top. Won't be consistent.
Well, he addressed the chemistry issues. There was something that really stood out from the game for me yesterday, and that is this. Nick Stauskas started his MVP campaign last night. I don't know if you know this, but right now he's top 5 MVP candidate. Stauskas was all over the place. After being somewhat forgotten, going from team to team to team, Stauskas was hitting threes. He was looking confident. He was getting crunch time minutes. He is a Michigan Wolverine. Jalen Rose, where do you think he will finish in the MVP voting at the end of the year?
Stand up, John Beeline. I see Tim Hardaway Jr. and Trey Burke balling in New York City. Mm-hmm. I see Glenn Robinson III doing his thing in Detroit. I see Karis LeVert doing his thing with the Nets. And now Stauskas has found a home. Terry Stotts, other than Lillard and C.J. McCollum, you look back at the last few seasons, he's found a way to have a third productive guard. In this case, a guy that can shoot, can drive the basketball, finish at the hoop. But it also continued to highlight what I said about the Lakers. When you don't have size and you don't have bulk down low, in particular other than JaVale McGee, a lot of teams are going to get layups. A lot of teams are going to get dunks. A lot of teams are going to get points in the paint. It's going to be interesting to see how they shore that up, especially when they're going to continue to play a front line that features LeBron, Kuzma, and Ingram most of the game and in important situations.
Well, some tells me this won't be the last time we'll talk about LeBron and the Lakers on this program. But moving on to a team who does have their roster pretty much shored up, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. They lost to the Celtics in their opener, and they beat up the Bulls last night. Here's Ben Simmons. He had a triple-double on the evening. And then we had Joel Embiid not just playing defense. He had 30 points and 12 rebounds. So, Jalen, here's a question I want to ask you. We know this duo is dynamic. We know that these are the two best players on the Sixers. But who's that third player? Is it Sarge? Is it Covington? Is it Redick? Like, is it Fultz? Who's going to be that third player that steps up to really make them a contender in the East?
That's the new challenge for General Manager Elton Brand, who they just gave the job to prior to the season. We know that those two guys are pillars. But when you look in the mirror, they made a big mistake with Markelle Fultz. And
yeah, they did. Not
necessarily just taking him number one. They also gave up a pick so that they could draft him instead of taking Jason Tatum, a Boston team that actually beat Philadelphia with these two guys in the lineup, without Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward in it. Also a Celtics squad that has the potential to get 3, count them, first-round draft choices this year. So they're only going to get better. So it remains to be seen who's going to emerge as that third player. I'm looking at Wilson Chandler. I think he has the versatility up front to knock down the three. He has the toughness to compete defensively. He has to be that guy that they can count on consistently once he returns to their lineup.
Interesting. Well, let's watch Markelle Fultz hit his very first NBA three-pointer. He steps into it. They give him lots of spaces. They always do when he hits it. But look at the crowd reaction. The crowd gave him a standing ovation for hitting a three-pointer. Would that make you feel better or worse about yourself? I'm not sure I would like that.
It makes you feel better because they're knowledgeable fans and they understand what he's been dealing with recently, in particular with his jump shot. And they know how important having a number one pick is and that guy being productive. Imagine what they're going to do if Ben Simmons ever hit a three.
Well played, Mr. Rose. We always talk about a lot of news, but right now it is time for news that matters. Now, we complain about Uber drivers a lot on this show. And we complain about the company Uber a lot. But we do it out of love. We do it because we use the product so much. And they're always thinking, Uber is, and they're trying to think of new products. They've got like some Uber helicopter thing they're working on. They got Uber Eats going on. They have something new that they're working on, Jalen Rose. It's called Uber Works. Now, what this is, it's for businesses, and it's a staffing solution. So if all of a sudden you need like a new staff of people to come to your office and help you out with a project, you just pick up your little Uber Works app, you push the button, and all of a sudden Uber Works sends a staff of people to you to help. Jalen Rose, what would you use Uber Works for if you had Uber Works?
Oh, easy. I have them do all of my prep for this show. Easy. Return the emails. Read the rundown,
meetings.
Do all the research, attend the meetings, all of that stuff. That's exactly what I would have them do. But in all honesty, this is doing too much. This is DTM.
I don't think this is going to work out. I don't think it's going to work out.
Who I call on to drive me from point A to point B, actually handling my personal affairs and influencing how I do my job.
Exactly. Something tells me that this one will never see the light of day. But I like the idea of 7 people coming in to do the prep work for you for this show. I'm not sure the show would get better, to be honest with you. Let's get to people.
I can't believe it.
That Philip brought his little brother on our mission into orbit.
How long until we get there? How long until we get there? How long until we get there?
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
What's this button do? What's this button do? What's this button do? What's this button do?
Don't touch that. Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Jalen Rose, there was some very interesting and impactful news yesterday. As part of a professional path, the G League will now be offering contracts to 18-year-old high school prospects, elite prospects, and those contracts will be worth $125,000. Jalen Rose, this is something that's very important to you, something that you are passionate about, something that you lived through famously. What do you think about this news?
It's an intelligent move by the NBA and Adam Silver, who continues to impress me, and I'll put him up there with the best commissioners that we have in professional sports. We know in a couple of seasons, high school prospects will again be eligible to enter the NBA draft. So what do you do between now and then? You create a bridge, and that's what this provides. Of course, as the founder of a charter high school and somebody that was a member of the Fab Five, I absolutely loved my collegiate experience and wouldn't trade it for anything. But I wasn't good enough to go to the pros right out of high school. For the players that are, they should have that option. And so the one question I would ask is, it says $125K to elite prospects. Does that mean if you're in the top 10? Does that mean if you're in the top 20? I would be interested to see how much the other players would make. And also, lastly, adults that are going to talk about this topic, let me make sure we stress. $125,000 a year, that's terrific, that's wonderful, that's amazing money. However, it ain't retire forever type of money.
No.
So you still got like work to do as an athlete, because when you forego the opportunity to go to college and you accept this opportunity, ain't no turning back. And while there will be some great success stories of people who take this opportunity and turn lemons into lemonade, like anything else, there will be some horror stories as well.
So, Jalen Rose, I want you to tell me this, because if I am one of those elite prospects, and I'm one of those players who's definitely going to be in the NBA, that's kind of who they're targeting with this program. I don't know if I'm foregoing a big school. I don't know if I'm saying no to Kansas, no to North Carolina, no to Kentucky, no to Louisville. I don't know if I'm not going to, I want to play in those nationally televised games. I want to play in March. I want everyone to know my name. I want to play there instead of in the G League where you're barely televised. You're playing in front of 1,500 people. It just seems like I don't know who this targets, who this is for. If you were a prospect, wouldn't you rather have the college experience and all the fanfare that goes with that than just kind of in the G League on charter flights and bussing between games and everything?
Absolutely. And the affiliation. Like, the one thing that gets lost about going to college is just it allows you to grow and nurture yourself as a young person. It's just experiences that you get from a melting pot by being on a collegiate campus. And many of the players, whether they go hardship, leaving school early, or clearly are one and dones, you don't see most of those people go back and graduate anyway. So It becomes an opportunity to get an affiliation, to be coached by somebody that's elite at a top tier program, to also be an alumnus of a school, and to be playing big time games in big time situations. But again, that's not for everyone. But I agree with the premise of your point. And so here's what's going to happen. To me, the top flight programs who continue to get the elite level McDonald's All-Americans, Kansas, Arizona, Kentucky, Duke, that's still going to happen.
I think so too.
Now, for the other players who decide in theory that they don't want to go to one of those schools, these are the kind of players that are going to be taking this opportunity. I don't think in most cases you're going to see the number one overall player in high school take this opportunity versus going to college.
No. Jalen Rose, you had such a good college experience. I want to ask you a question, and it's time for What's Your Number? Jalen Rose, imagine you're 18 years old and you're a senior, and someone said you can either go to Michigan or you can go to the G League. You can play with your brothers and be famous and change the world, or you can go to the G League. What is your number? Some tells me it's higher than 125K. What is your number to take this G League offer?
I think I'm a comedian in my off time, so everybody that hears this comment, don't take it as truth, especially when you saw me in the Fab Five documentary riding around in a green Dodge Shadow with a component speaker in the back seat, with the seat down, the music turned up, it sounded like I had gorillas in the trunk, and I had a Crown air freshener. Okay. How you know I didn't get both?
Jalen, you completely don't understand the premise of this segment before you continue to do it.
How you know I didn't get both?
Moving on.
I wish I would have.
There are internet rumors. There's buzz. And we aren't really sure if it's true. It may or may not be true, but that's not really the point. Is there's potentially DeAndre Jordan may or may not be romantically involved with someone who was previously romantically involved with his former teammate and good friend Blake Griffin. Now again, we're on deep internet here when we find this stuff. We do not know if it's true, but it really got me thinking. And Jalen Rose, is it ever okay to date your friend's ex? And I thought it was, but there need to be some conditions. I'm going to show you these conditions and you tell me if it is okay to date your friend's ex. Ready? The first one. Your friend has moved on. If your friend's happy in a relationship, say they're married, maybe they have kids, then it's totally fine for you to date their ex. That's one condition in which needs to be in place, right? Do you buy that?
I don't buy that because ultimately with your friend, there should be a level of respect and or kinship. And if this person is your ex, that means y'all have discussed parts of the relationship. Number one, good, bad, and ugly.
Okay.
Number two, if you date your friend's ex, it means you were scheming the entire time.
Okay, that's one way to look at it. Let's look at another condition that should be in place for you to date your friend's ex. You have asked and received permission. Like, y'all had a man-to-man about it. You said, look, I can't help the way I feel. This is something that happened. It wasn't intentional. It just happened to happen. Do I have your blessing to continue with this romantic relationship?
Not at all. And here's the other thing I want to make sure that we bring up in this dynamic. What responsibility are we giving him or her that decides to date someone's ex? That means that you also know that you're talking to somebody and then you're talking to their friend. They have words out there for people like that I can't use on this program.
One final condition that needs to be in place. Geography is important. No longer live in the same state. Like, you're not in the same city. You're not going to bump into each other. You're in different area codes. You're far, far away from each other. So then it doesn't really matter anymore. You buying that?
I'm not buying it. That's why WWW stands for World Wide Web. And internet, social media, that all has a play. And if I'm your friend and you date my ex, you're corny, you're whack, you're cheesy. Now, there are special situations like this, I assume, that have ended in a positive way. But ultimately, the person that dates your ex, guess what ends up happening? They're not your friend anymore.
Well, I just want to make it very clear that we have no idea if this is actually the case between DeAndre Jordan and Blake Griffin, but maybe it is. Very quickly, last topic, Kevin Love got a technical, and he said he got a technical for yelling, "Come on," and he also said that, quote, it was the whitest thing he could have said. I disagree, Mr. Love. Here's a list of whiter things Kevin Love could have said to get a technical. Are you ready? Please reconsider that call, sir, is one. I believe you have erred in your judgment, too, and do you have any vegan options? Do you think "come on" is the whitest thing Kevin Love could have said?
Or it could have been like, what type of smoothie do you like?
Personally, I like a strawberry banana smoothie with some vanilla protein and perhaps maybe some kale mixed in because it's good for my vitamins. It is now time for one of our signature segments. It's time for Soft Move or Boss Move. Jalen Rose, I always say I'm a Die Easy fan, but I am loyal to my Boston Red Sox, who are now in the World Series. After beating the Houston Astros in Houston, the Red Sox hit a home run. This young man ended up with the ball, and his people around him told him to throw it back on the field. But then he did not throw it back on the field. It is sort of tradition that if an opponent hits a home run, you throw the ball back on the field. This young man was so excited about having it, even though the people around him egged him on to throw it onto the field, he did not succumb to the peer pressure. Soft move or boss move, not throwing the opponent home run ball back onto the field.
Smart boss move.
Disagree
That's
completely.
A playoff baseball.
Disagree completely.
You have adults around you giving you advice, and you have the courage of your convictions as a young man to stand up, stick out your chest, hold your head up high, and be a leader. That's a trait that I look for in people.
Jalen Rose, I know you well, and you're a kind person. You care about children. You've got your own school helping the children of Detroit get educations and get into college and even counsel them through college. You're such a kind person. Me, I don't feel that way. I don't care if it's a kid. Soft move. Soft move. Come on, man. You know what? I'm experienced. I'm 40 years old. I know the life of that baseball. That baseball is very important to that child for the next 2 days. Then that baseball gets put in a closet somewhere, and that closet gets cleaned out in 5 years. That baseball ends up in the trash. Or he runs out of baseballs and he actually plays baseball with that baseball. That baseball is not special to him. That baseball is not going to be a part of his life. That baseball is not going to make him happy. That baseball is going to leave his life one day. It's not important to him. But do you know what never leaves your life? The respect of your peers. Do you know what never leaves your life? The memory of throwing the baseball back onto the field. This is definitely a soft move. I know you. You just don't want to go in on a child on national television. That's totally fine. That's the difference between you and me. I have no trouble making fun of that adorable little child in Houston. I'm sorry to his family. I think he's cute. I like him very much, but he's wrong in this count.
I'll tell you something that's accepted everywhere.
What's
cash. And he could go on eBay
no, please.
and sell that ball.
You ever been on eBay?
His own money.
No.
in his pocket.
Okay, he's going to sell. Okay, now you dug yourself in a worse hole. What do you think the market is for that baseball? What do you think the market is? This is a baseball from a home run, from a game. There wasn't even like a walk-off home run. And like, what do you think? What is he getting for $17.25 for that?
It was the championship series.
I mean, and then they got to ship it. There's no chance. There's no market for that baseball. There's no market for that baseball.
Let me tell you something.
Please.
When you're a youngster, you always have to ask your parents for money. In this case, he could get his own bread. Boss move, young man. We got adults out here creating burner accounts because they're sensitive to what strangers say and feel about them. And he had the nerve, the strength to stand up for himself and not throw the baseball back on the field and succumb to peer pressure.
Really? You ever try to set up an eBay account and sell something on eBay? You got to take a picture. You got to set up the account. You got to put in your address. You got to get verified. It just takes too long. It's too difficult. I am not as evil as I sounded the last 2 minutes. I personally would have thrown. I always like the idea of throwing the ball back on the field and having that crowd of 30,000 people cheer for you. If 30,000 people would have cheered for him, that is a memory that will last forever. That baseball is going to be in his closet for 2 years and end up just thrown in the trash or whatever. Moving on. Jalen Ramsey is one of the most outspoken athletes that we have. I love Jalen Ramsey so much. I am sure one day he will be working with us in sports media. He is that articulate and fun to listen to. But he hasn't been so much fun to listen to lately in press conferences. Let's listen.
That confidence, you think you guys can bounce back this week defensively?
We'll see. We still got confidence, but we're going to see how the game goes.
What did you see in that from him? What did you see on tape this year?
Really good.
Jalen Ramsey giving short answers at press conference. And once upon a time, before the Jaguars were losing a couple games, he used to be so expressive. Soft move or boss move, changing your stance after a couple losses.
This is definitely a boss move. Here's why. Because I appreciate when people have a level of reality to the game that they spit. In particular, if it's trash talk. When the team is winning and being successful and you're balling out, then that's your chance to talk. When y'all have lost back-to-back games and y'all have looked as pedestrian as they have, that is not the time to talk. We do that a lot in the media, and we make sure we highlight when people are talking that shouldn't be. I appreciate the fact that he understands and he distinguished the difference.
I want to disagree with you, but it's hard to disagree with you on this one. I think it is a boss move. Look, we all know the difference, what it feels like after a win and after a loss. And he can see his team with such high expectations coming into the season after going to the AFC Championship. He can look around and just get a feel in the room that this isn't going to be the same success they had last year. And you know your team is in a bad spot. When people are talking about adding Eli Manning to it to fix it, if Eli Manning's quarterback play is what's supposed to solve your problems, you know your team is in a bad spot. I know you know this, Jalen Rose. If people are speaking to the microphone saying, you know what they need? They need Eli Manning to change this. That is when your team's in a bad spot, and that is when you stop talking so much into microphones. I love Jalen Ramsey. I cannot wait till he joins this program and replaces you as a co-host. We don't even need to change the logo. Don't even need to change the name. Don't need to change the graphics. Don't need to change anything. Jalen, this spot is waiting for you when you decide you're done with your NFL career. And we'll have you on as a guest from time to time, Jalen Rose. Don't worry about it. Finally, Drake is finishing up his stint in Los Angeles. He's doing shows in Staples Center. I think he did a show in the Forum. And you know, after the show, there's the after party, right? So he's at the after party. One thing I love about Drake, he gives the people what they want. He performed at the after party. Not only did he perform at the after party, he truly gave people what they want. He brought trays of McDonald's with little neon golden arches all through the party. And there's my man, EJ. Big shout to EJ. That is my guy. He had McDonald's. This young lady had McDonald's. Everyone was eating McDonald's in the club. Jalen Rose providing the whole entire club with McDonald's, soft move or boss move?
Boss move. And the one thing I want to make sure I acknowledge into a microphone, McDonald's French fries are the bomb. So I just want to make sure that each person that was able to enjoy them got them hot with a lot of salt, because they're the absolute best. Now, on the flip side, because this is a boss move, I love McDonald's. I've eaten as many Big Macs and Filet-O-Fish sandwiches as any person walking the earth. Okay. But I saw a commercial where you could get 10 McNuggets for $1. That should be illegal.
No. I don't want McNuggets for 10 cents. I do want to point out some things. I didn't see a lot of ketchup. I didn't see any dipping sauces for the McNuggets, and I didn't see any napkins. There's a lot of greasy fingers in that club. There's a lot of greasy fingers. There's a lot of stains in the back of people's shirts. I just feel like it was a really boss move of him to provide all the food, but I feel like some ketchup and some napkins, some paper towel rolls. You got to have the foresight to think of these things. Next time, Drake, we need some paper towels. Get some Bounty, the quicker picker upper. Now, the internet has found an account that is a big fan of the musician Usher. Because this account, which is weirdly labeled, has been defending Usher's name on the internet on Twitter very, very vigorously. I'm not saying it's Usher's burner account, but I am saying there is someone out there who is reading tweets in French and other languages and then using Google Translator to defend, quote, Uncle Usher's name. Jalen Rose, we don't know if this is Usher, but maybe it is. How weird is it to not only have a burner account, but to be defending what could be your own name from a burner account using Google Translator? What is happening in the world?
You know how I feel about this. People take too much time, too much energy, and put too much passion and feelings into what others think about them, especially when it has a negative connotation. You can do just one clear thing. You can not be on Twitter. You can not be on IG. You don't have to consume negative energy. And for celebrities who have large followings to continue to create burner accounts to defend their own name, it's just lame. It's just whack. It's just socially awkward.
It's very socially awkward.
If you're going to not only do it, but take the time and energy to do it in another language.
It's a lot of copying and pasting. Is he at a desktop when he's doing this, or is he on his phone? It's so hard to grab things and copy them and then go to a different application and put it into Google Translator. This guy's like a part owner of the Cavs. He's a multi-platinum selling artist. He's a very successful young man. I don't know why he's spending his time doing this. Now, Jalen, I'll put you on blast a little bit. I have seen you search your own name just to see what the people in the world are saying about you. But if you see it in another language, would you ever copy and paste it into Google Translator to see what it says?
No. And here's the thing, as an adult, especially somebody that's a public figure, it's important that if you choose to take the temperature of what surrounds your name, that doesn't take a lot of time and energy. I'm not the kind of person, though, that's going to read a comment and it's going to ruin my minute. It's going to ruin my day, or I'm going to take it to heart. So that's why I'm able to do this. I barely want to post on my normal account. I definitely ain't about to be creating no burner account to try to do it.
I just figured this all out, Jalen Rose. Usher is using Uber Works to set up burner accounts to translate tweets about him and defend his name. I figured it all out. I'm glad we came to that conclusion. Jalen Rose, happy Friday. It is the weekend, and we're going to give you the biggest and best games that you need to watch this weekend, and it starts with the Cleveland Cavaliers going into Minnesota and Jimmy Butler facing the Minnesota fans. How do you think that's going to play out?
And Kevin Love facing his former team where he's in Cleveland now trying to put up the level of statistics with this new squad that he's won a championship with, as he was able to do with his old squad that wasn't able to make the playoffs while he was there. I think Jimmy Butler, we all know, is going to show up. He's going to play hard, competitive, especially on the defensive end. The key for me is going to be, can Karl Anthony Towns respond? 8 points, 6 fouls. I was really disappointed in what I saw from him opening night.
Next, we have the Bengals going into Kansas City to try to stop the Chiefs' offense. Do you think they have a chance?
I think they do have a chance. I think the Bengals are a slept-on team in the AFC, almost like a sexy pick, along with the Chargers and the Steelers. They're in the conversation, as well as the Jaguars. I think they're a step below what we see from the Patriots and KC. So this is going to be an interesting case study to see if Mahomes can continue to light the league on fire.
In the Staples Center, we have some star power on Saturday night. The Rockets come to town. LeBron makes his home debut. It's going to be a hot ticket with lots of people in the front row. How many celebrities do you think are sad right now calling their agent because they can't get tickets in the floor seats?
Everybody that's not going to be at the arena. It's must-see TV with LeBron James. Obviously, it's great theater if you can be in the building. These are two teams that fans hope can contend with the Golden State Warriors. But if they don't make moves to their roster, Houston defensively, in particular up front, they need more size to go alongside Capella. Oh, wait. That's the Lakers' problem, too. They need more size to go up alongside JaVale McGee. I think if that doesn't get shored up for either one of those teams, the Golden State Warriors, if they face one of these squads in the playoffs, 4-1.
We both know that these two teams that you will watch on Saturday night will not look the same in March. You know that right now, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Also interesting to see, at noon on a Saturday, early, Michigan against Michigan State. The Spartans are definitely going to win this one, right?
Here's all I know.
What do you know, sir?
The Wolverines win out. We in the playoff. We'll be in the Final Four. And I anticipate
so we're looking
that
past
happening.
Michigan State. We're looking past Penn State. We're looking past all of that to Ohio State. Is that what's happening?
Hey, man, let me tell you something.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Let me get Big Bougie University here. You know what I mean? We ain't got no problems with those state schools. We got this. Penn and Michigan State and Ohio State. We got this. Everybody fall back off Jim Harbaugh, especially after the Notre Dame loss. People thought it was doom and gloom. All I know is the Michigan Wolverines continue to ascend in the rankings.
We'll see how you feel about all this on Monday. Jalen Rose, something happened yesterday that blew my mind. It was special to me. It made me emotional. It made me proud of you and of me and of the staff. And it's just heartwarming. And it's one of those moments in my life that I'll just never forget. You know?
Wow. What was that?
Reggie Noble, also known as Redman, put a clip of this program on his Instagram account. Yep. It's Redman Gilla on Instagram.
Shout out.
He put a clip of us riding for him and Method Man to be part of How High 2, the sequel. Now, I listened to his appearance on a podcast, and the people from the podcast, they got mad at me for not crediting that podcast, so let me make sure I have the name of that podcast before I start talking about it again. Hold up. While I'm getting the information, Reggie was on it, and he was very clear. It is the Grassroots Podcast.
Shout out.
And Reggie was a guest on there. And one thing I love about Reggie Noble, a.k.a. Redman, well, pretty much everything, but he's a mature man now. He's in his 40s, and he was like, look, I love Lil Yachty, and I love everyone else that they've cast, and I want the younger generation to have opportunities like this, and this is very important. He wasn't just, like, mad. You know what I mean? But he's like, look, we were working on something, and it didn't really work out. And the people at the Grassroots Podcast did a great job getting him to answer. But he's clearly a little salty about this. And when Redman is salty, who else is salty, Jalen Rose?
Jalen and Jacoby.
Yep.
We got to do something about this. I mean, we had a petition. It's probably over 5,000 at this point. Our goal was 4,000 signatures. We need to find out who at Universal we need to contact. And I need to write a strongly worded email. I'm going to do it. I'm not kidding. I say that I'm going to do it a lot. But if someone we work in media at a multi-billion-dollar company. We should be able to get an email of someone at Universal.
And also, it's really important to acknowledge, like, not only does Redman and Method Man, for that matter, have bars, but they're family. And when you disrespect family, then we have to take action. And one of the things that is really important in this dynamic is to note, I appreciate you saying he wasn't upset, he wasn't mad, he wasn't bitter, or none of that. Just like we're not. However, this is a travesty.
I'm mad. I'm bitter.
This is a travesty. And I got to correct you.
What?
We didn't go after 4,000 signatures. We went after 1,000 signatures.
Oh, we did? That was the goal?
And got 5,000 signatures. So I think with that legion of individuals behind us, we need to continue to make this topic something for public consumption. Yep. Because remember, Michael Jordan, he would love to come on Jalen and Jacoby. Yep. But when we heard he dissed Redman and hip-hop,
persona non grata.
He got banned.
No, he's actually asked. He's texted me. Michael Jordan's texted me. He's called my phone. He's called our colleagues. He's called Harlan. He's tried to knock down the door while we're doing the show. Michael Jordan stands outside the door in the control room trying to get in, and we say, "No, thank you, Mr. Jordan. We once heard that you dissed Redman, so no disrespect personally to you, Mr. Jordan. We love your body of work and everything that you've done with the Bobcats and the Hornets and the Bulls while you were playing, but we're going to have to politely decline your request to appear on the program." It's happened time and time again. We actually had to have our security guard, Vinny, put his name on a list so he's not allowed in here anymore at the Seaport.
He's on that Al Capone list.
He's not allowed in. But big shout to Redman and big shout to Method Man. It's just crazy to me that those two gentlemen know my name. And if I saw them on the street, would give me a pound. It's just crazy to me. You know, if you told that to 14-year-old David Jacoby, I don't know what I would think.
You was listening to, look out, it's the Funkadelic Funk for Chunk that don't be knowing my name. I make it slide, make it slip, make it want a backflip. The top notch of the block, cause I carry ya. Coming at ya.
I honestly feel like, we know Method Man saw producer Harlan and said thank you, and Redman has reposted it. So I think that they want us to continue this. It's like Jalen. It's like when you needed to be in the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame. You can't ride for yourself. You know what I mean? It looks kind of. It's beneath them to take on the campaign and to take a shot at Universal. It also damages their chances of actually being in the movie if they do that. So it's on us now. Now it's a responsibility on us to make sure that they end up in How High too. I'll write a script. I'll write them into a script. I'll tell them what their characters should be. They don't need to be the main characters. They just need to appear. They just need to be some OGs that help the younger characters out, have a piece of advice. They're in a scene. I'll come up with something. I'm gonna write a strongly worded email. Producer Harlan, stay on me about writing a strongly worded email. I'm gonna email it to president@universalpictures.com, and I'm gonna snail mail it. I'm just gonna say Los Angeles Universal Pictures. I'm gonna say to the most important person there.
Shout out.
And see if I can get somebody on the phone or something. I'm gonna write a strongly worded email about this, Jay. Strongly worded snail mail. I'm gonna print it out I'm gonna go to Kinko's and put it on thick paper. You know, like some real cardstock.
Make it really professional.
Color. I'm gonna have it designed. I'm gonna sign it with a quill. And then I'm gonna prick my finger and put my fingerprint on the bottom in blood. That might be creepy. That might not get through security. As always, we want to hear from you. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can give us voicemails. And if you give Reggie a shout-out, he'll pick them and put them on the show. And you can always tell what Reggie wants us to talk about by the first voicemail he plays. Let's get inside Reggie's head.
Yo, what up, Jay and Jacoby? It's your boy Darnell from Denver. Shout out Reg, though. You definitely need to give Reg a mic. Here's my question, man. So I've been following, I follow everybody, all the NBA guys on social media. So I've been looking at a lot of LeBron stuff lately, and he always seems to have a driver now. You never see him driving his own car or anything like that. So, Jalen, could you take us behind the curtain and give us a little insight? Like, is he just strictly like, I'm not driving, I'm sitting in the back, and I'm recording videos of me singing every song I know every day? Could you please take us behind the curtain, please? Please, please. Love y'all boys, man. I'm a before day one listener. Always much love, Darnell from Denver. Red, hit the button. Yep, medicinal.
Darnell's in Denver. Medicinal is fully recreationally legal there. So I don't think he's breaking any laws by being medicinal and calling into Jalen and Jacoby. So a couple things I want to say. Great question from Darnell. We'll get into that in a second. But remember how I teed this up, Jalen Rose? I said, let's get inside Reggie's head. And Reggie, just play the first 10 seconds of that voicemail again, please. And remember, I said, let's get inside Reggie's head before he played it.
Yo, what up, Jay and Jacoby? It's your boy Darnell from Denver. Shout out Reg, though. You definitely need to give Reg a mic. Here's my,
I didn't even know that was coming. I said, let's get inside Reggie's head. The first thing that Darnell says, we definitely need to get Reg a mic. We definitely need to get Reg a mic. You see?
I like what you did there.
You see? I didn't even know that was coming. But you can get inside Reggie's head by listening to what the first voicemail is, and Reggie clearly wants a mic. He's not going to ask for one. You know? He's just subliminally asking us to ask for one for Reggie. It's his version of a strongly worded email, basically.
He has something. Hold up. Reggie has something that's better than any microphone. He has control.
He does.
And he has the soundboard. He represents the soundtrack. That's way more important than a microphone.
He's got mind control over us like Debo.
Correct.
So,
speaking of the Hobbits, let's talk about LeBron James.
Jalen, Medicinal Darnell in Denver has a great question. He wants you to take us behind the curtain on why LeBron James doesn't drive his own car. Why is he always in the back seat, learning the lyrics to the latest songs and spitting them to us while he does dynamic camera work on his phone and IG stories?
A couple of things. Because when you are in a position to have a driver, a lot of people use Uber or Lyft or whatever, it frees up your hands and it frees up your mind to do other things, like return texts, return emails, check social media, and just relax. I would think if most people could be chauffeured around, they would choose to do so.
For sure. Another thing is I like how you made it sound like when you have a driver, you're being super productive and you're on text and emails and responding to people and handling business. You're asleep the whole time, Jay. I've been in cars with you before. I've been in cars with you before. But there are some questions that need to be addressed. There's some questions that need to be addressed. What about discretion and privacy, Jalen? That's one thing I would be concerned with, because I imagine that you have a relationship with a driver. It's a good relationship, but they end up learning a lot just by ear hustling to your phone calls. They end up learning a lot about your life by where they pick you up and drop you off and what the schedule is. Like, there's a little bit of a privacy concern there, isn't there?
Not at all. So let me just tell you how this works.
Explain it to me.
When you're in a car with a driver, you don't allow them to ear hustle because you're not doing important phone calls while they're in the vehicle. Period. That's why I said text and emails. You do your phone calls personal and private, like most individuals do, without somebody ear hustling that's driving you. It's really simple.
Okay. So, Jalen, here's another thing that I love about LeBron James in the back of his car. He recently put up a story of him and his daughter in the back of the car listening to the Frozen soundtrack. And it's one of those things that Us Weekly has, like people, like the stars, they're just like us. It's like, I end up listening to these Disney soundtracks like 25% of my day. I've heard the Moana soundtrack more than I've heard Wu-Tang Enter the 36 Chambers. And it's only been out for like 3 years. And it's just, I like LeBron. I love old, letting us in, taking us behind the curtain LeBron. And by taking us behind the curtain, I mean the curtain of his Maybach, because the windows have curtains on it, because that's the kind of car that he rides in. Thank you so much for the call, Medicinal Darnell.
Shout out.
Let's listen to another voicemail.
What up, Jalen Jacoby? Nobody talks about this, but your guys' answering machine is awesome. So shout out there. Shout out to Reg and the staff. My name is Joe Slevin. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and my fiance Jackie actually called the other day about the Nuggets and Blazers stuff, and I actually think we landed on an hour-long massage being the wager. Maybe a little excessive, but we'll hash out the details over here. We're a divided house on a number of fronts. She works at Nike. I'm at Adidas. Don't want to get into it. We're getting married, and I wanted to ask you guys for your advice. What's the one thing that you would say to a couple planning their wedding, whether it be honeymoon, reception, lead up? What's this one thing that we maybe overlook and we should definitely be considering? Thanks a lot. Keep giving the people what they want. Bye.
I got this one, Jalen, because I got married, and I got two pieces of advice that I tell everybody that gets married. Number one piece of advice: something is going to go wrong. Something is going to go wrong. It's not, oh, I hope everything goes right. That's not the mentality you have going into the wedding. The mentality you have going into the wedding is, when something goes wrong, I'm going to handle it calmly and coolly and understand that not everything's going to be perfect about this evening. It's just not, if something's going to go wrong, I promise. I promise. You don't shoot 100% from the floor if you put up enough shots. You're going to miss some shots. It's about how you handle the things that go wrong. That's number one. And number two, which is probably more important, don't spend too much money. Because it just starts snowballing. Like, it just starts snowballing. I think we spent like over $1,000 on flowers. I don't remember what the flowers look like. I don't know why we need flowers. We spent so much money on food and no one even ate. Like, it's just like, it feels like you have to spend this much money. But one thing we did is we had a small engagement party. And at that small engagement party, we went to the bar and we said, here's $700. So give us $200 in like a food spread and give us $500 in an open bar tab. And then once that's closed, people have to pay for their own drinks. It was a $700 party. I swear to God, it was just as much fun as the wedding. And the wedding cost much more than $700. Don't spend too much money and make sure that you are prepared for something to go wrong and you handle it calmly and responsibly.
That's great advice. It's really esteemed. My advice is a couple of things.
Have no guests?
Huh?
Have no guests?
No. My advice is almost like what I would say for those who get so caught up in social media. You end up doing the post for everybody else, not yourself. Mm-hmm. You end up reading the comments, caring about what people think, and you lose the fabric sometimes of who you are, your intentions, and you allow that stuff, especially the negative, to creep into your psyche. Don't do it for everybody else. The celebration, the parties, the trying to impress and keep people happy type thing. Celebrate your love eye to eye, heart to heart.
I love it.
Focus on that. Immerse yourself in we and not worry about them and they. The other thing I'll say is you just let her do everything. Like
it's not both of y'all wedding.
Correct.
It's her wedding.
I appreciate you saying like what we're gonna do. No, that should be the last time you ever say that. It's what she wants to do. Let me say that again. It's not what you or y'all gonna do. It's what she wants to do. If she wants 50 people there, that's how many people are gonna be there. If she wants 5 people there, that's how many people are gonna be there. And
it's hard advice to follow, Jalen Rose. You're doing great with this answer, Jalen. This is perfect. I think we knocked this one out of the park.
We did. But more importantly, congratulations and enjoy the journey.
Here's the problem they're going to have, though. Because you know everyone wears the regular shoes, then like the groomsmen and the bridesmaids all get like special custom sneakers. They're going to have Nikes or Adidas. I think the groomsmen get Nikes, and then the bridesmaids get Adidas, and that's how it's going to go.
Yeah, I like what you did there.
Woj has a podcast, and he had Zach Lowe as a guest on his podcast, and Woj had some very interesting things to say about the Clippers' future.
What the Clippers are doing right now is very below the radar. What they've done to put themselves in position, they didn't gut themselves, and they're not tanking. We're going to put a competitive team on the floor. And listen, they have, I think right now with Kawhi Leonard, they have a better than not chance of getting him. Now, we know things will change. He could love Toronto. He could fall in love with the fan base and not care about the weather. And the Clippers are in great position with him. They have 2 max slots. They will be heard from again, I think, in these Jimmy Butler trade talks.
It's interesting what he said. A lot of it is very important. I'm not sure how competitive the Clippers are right now, but I don't think they're tanking. But Jalen, he said there's a better than not chance of them getting Kawhi. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I think he's saying there's over a 50% chance that Kawhi Leonard played for the Clippers next season. What do you think about that?
I know you don't listen to me, but anybody that's listened to this program, I've distinctly said into a microphone, if Kawhi Leonard leaves the Toronto Raptors for greener pastures as a free agent, it won't be to join the Lakers. It will be to join the Clippers. Look no further than the Clippers doing something else that they didn't mention, and that's firing Bruce Bowen basically as their play-by-play person because he was critical of one Kawhi Leonard as a former Spur, and they didn't want anything to impede the opportunity for Kawhi to make it to L.A. Another thing that they did that was quiet was re-sign Doc Rivers, who also has San Antonio ties in his past. So it totally makes sense. I'm not surprised, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Toronto Raptors allow this to play out, because you don't want him to leave at the end of the year and all of a sudden 1 year you got DeRozan, 1 year you got Kawhi, and then next year you don't have either one. So based on that dynamic, I'm interested to see how far they allow this thing to play out.
Another thing he said at the end, he said that don't be surprised if they end up back in the Jimmy Butler trade talks. Could you see the Clippers trading for Butler this year?
Of course I can, because the last time I checked, when Jimmy Butler named some teams he wanted to go play for, by the way, all of them have max slots that they could take care of him. It was large market, New York Knicks, the Nets, and the Clippers. So, of course, they're in position and they're trying to jockey to not only acquire Jimmy Butler and also to acquire Kawhi Leonard.
Interesting. Well, right now, Kawhi Leonard is on the Raptors, and he was traded for DeMar DeRozan. Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan were very close friends, and they were so close that before games, Lowry and DeRozan had like a little routine where they did a handshake. And let's take a look at this video. It looks like that's that. On the left, that's the old routine. And on the right, Kyle Lowry still does the DeRozan handshake, even though DeRozan isn't there anymore. Jalen Rose, is this a tribute to a friend, or is this kind of creepy and weird?
It's not creepy. They were not only teammates, but they began to foster a kinship that they did interviews together. Yep. They joked with one another in good times and or bad times. And you could tell that that friendship was real. So him still paying tribute or homage to DeMar is not a surprise, and it's not strange in my opinion.
If I got traded to a different network, would you still do our traditional handshake before the show?
I would do a lot of things that we normally do. But the other thing I would do, I would change a lot of the pictures that you have on your side of the studio. That's the first thing I would do.
Not a big Bill Murray fan? not into the cheers? It's time to get socially awkward. After the Lakers lost to the Blazers, Nick Young took out his Twitter fingers and tweeted this. He did the old tweet and delete of this. I'm right here. He did the tweet and delete. Jalen Rose, using your Twitter fingers to try to get you a gig in the NBA.
Soft move. The one thing I will say for Nick Young, I want fans and media to pay attention to this. Approximately 80 players that were in the league last year are not in the league this year. That's about a 20% turnover from year to year. All first-round draft picks, contracts are guaranteed, so that's 30 jobs. It could be up to 60 jobs depending on if second-rounders make the team. You have the influx of European players. Yep. Now you're going to have G League players as well. So it always fascinates me how players so young like Nick could be winning a championship with the Golden State Warriors one day and then out of the league literally the next.
It's Friday. I want to thank everyone for giving us a phone call. We love your voicemails. Continue to give us voicemails, 985-80-JALEN. You can send us tweets too, at Jalen and Jacoby. And follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Jalen Jacoby. Make sure you rate and review us on Apple. If you're using the Apple app to listen to the podcast, give us 5-star, 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 5-star. And enjoy your weekend. Stay safe. 5 shows next week, Monday through Friday. What? Why is that, KRS?
We're not done. We're not done. Got to give the people time. Give people what they want.
They my little guys. I love them.
Speaking of the Hobbits, let's talk about LeBron James for a second.
Let's make it happen.